Today, I am so excited to have my friend Stephanie Martin in a discussion today. Stephanie and I have known each other for a little over a year. We got to know each other really well. We spent a bunch of time together recently at a conference, and I just love her precious heart. She is just an amazing woman, loves the Lord like I do. And she is a health coach and the owner of Revived and Restored Health. Her focus is on helping people with autoimmunity, which is my one of my big focuses, and on mold toxicity, which I myself experience. So, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me today for our conversation.
Thank you, Teresa. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
I'm so happy to have this time. The amount of people who don't love themselves, don't care for themselves, don't accept themselves, don't forgive themselves. If there's any person we have to forgive, most of the time it's ourselves,
Oh, yeah.
like giving ourselves grace, like you said.
That you just gave. The tie-in for the autoimmunity is related to people that don't have the self-love.
Mhm.
But it really does make a lot of sense
Mhm.
because if you take it back even further, I always told my kids when they were coming up, which at that point I don't know that they understood, but but I tried. But I told them, I said, Satan starts when we're really young. He wants to start, and I don't want to like over spiritualize it, but we do war not against flesh and blood, but powers and principalities, darkness in high places. We know that. And it is literal.
Mhm.
My daughter was going through, she was very young at the time. She was going through some stuff, and I could just see the enemy just pounding her with these thoughts in her mind that she wasn't enough, that she wasn't this, that she
Yeah.
wasn't that. And I could just see that. And I was like, oh, no, you don't. I went through a lot of that as a kid. I think most kids do, especially today.
Girls
Um,
especially. And
and
that's
something
why
that
autoimmune in women is more prevalent than autoimmune in men. Because
I
women,
could see that.
we have a hard time at loving and accepting ourselves, especially when the quote unquote socially ideal idea of beauty is a certain thing,
Yes.
whatever,
Yes.
blonde, blue eyes, whatever, however, whatever. And so if we don't match up to that, if we don't weigh a certain thing, we're not this height, or our hair's not a certain way, or we don't have that makeup or that bag or whatever, these clothes, I was made fun of because I'm 6 foot tall. I was made fun of. Oh gosh, how long ago was it? I was in high school.
Yeah.
45,
Yeah.
45 years ago. I can't even imagine the bullying that kids go through now because it's
Oh, I
just so
know.
much harder now than it was. It's no joke. Like
Mm-mm.
women have such a hard time loving themselves.
They really do, especially, and also you brought up just in today's world, one of the things that really breaks my heart, and I think that it's a lie. I know the statistics are that depression, suicide, anxiety is an all-time high
Hmm.
and in teenagers. And I'm one of those odd souls that love teenagers and love to work with them and all the things. But I got to a place where I had to start telling my kids and young people that are in my circle that, hey, anxiety and depression, those things that you're feeling, I'm not going to minimize them, but you just need to understand that anxiety is a part of life.
Hmm.
Now, not anxiety the way the world has spun it. The way the world has spun it, they're telling you that you're not normal. This is not okay, and you need to be drugged because clearly you have no handle on things.
Hmm.
But think back to the 60s when you had children in school who were worried about a nuclear bomb being dropped on their heads.
Hmm.
Think about to the 40s when you had 6 million Jews
Right.
killed in a 4-year span.
Yeah.
You don't think these people had some anxiety?
Or
And
what,
so,
30 years before that was the flu that took out like millions of people at the time. And I think it was 1918, something like that.
yeah, 18 and 19, yeah. My thing is what I've been trying to teach people today is that anxiety is a natural God-given emotion. It helps protect you from a perceived fear. The difference today is we've got a lot of people in higher places, we'll say,
Mhm.
that are spinning it like it's not normal. It's
Yeah.
not. And same thing with depression. There's a difference between
Yeah.
having a down day and being clinically depressed.
Right.
And again,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to minimize these emotions or
Yeah.
minimize these things. There are people who really do struggle with those things, but I think for the vast majority, especially our young people, many of them don't realize that these are just emotions of growing up.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think I was looking around because I had the book on my desk for a long time, but I put it over there on the bookshelf. It's a book by Dr. Pete Sulak called Be Resilient. I think that that's part of what's missing is teaching, and I'll say kids, even people, grown ups, there are some grown ups that are this way too. It's just the resiliency back 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago. They face these challenges and they learn how to have that bounce back because they didn't expect that it was going to be any other way. They just knew
Yeah.
that there was tough times, the challenges in life, and we just keep taking it one day at a time, and we'll eventually this will be over and we'll have overcome.
Hmm.
Now it's just overwhelming despondency that people feel. Anxiety, I always say, is looking too far into the future, worrying too much about what's going not that you hasn't happened yet, you don't have any control over. And
Right.
depression is looking too much into the past. And again, worrying about something that's already happened that you also
Hmm.
don't have any control over. You can't go back and change it. You can't go into the future and manipulate the future. But what you can do is change your reactions to what's happening today in the present and
Hmm.
living today in the present and staying in today instead of projecting too far in the future or ruminating too much in the past. That's where for me, and I've had so many traumatic things happen in my life, including like a near death experience, like those kind of like physical car accidents, marriage issues, all kinds of things. And it's been just that get up and it's get up and
Dust
keep
yourself
doing it
off and
again.
start
Just
over.
keep up and get up and doing it again. And just knowing that tomorrow's another day. We're just going to keep doing one day at a time. I can only live today. I can't look out. I can't. I definitely. And in my, and so here I'll just touch on this. In my genetic makeup, there are genes that do lend themselves to depression and anxiety. So there is that thing, but those genes don't have to turn on, right? We
Right.
don't have to give them
Hmm.
credence. And if we've removed the toxicity in our bodies, it helps.
Okay.
So that all said, I am predisposed to those things. So depression is a thing that I have to overcome.
Hmm.
And I have to just choose, I am not going to look back. And anxiety, same thing. I am not going to worry about the future. I'm going to stay right here and trust today that I am doing the best that I can today with what I have today. And gratitude is one of the things that it has helped me to be thankful, to be grateful, has helped me to overcome depression, anxiety, bitterness, unforgiveness, all the things that I struggle with that or those negative emotions, just staying in gratitude and thankfulness.
Hmm.
You cannot stay in gratitude and thankfulness and hold on to those things.
You can't be thankful and grateful and happy and anxious for the future either. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like
Exactly.
you get that's where your peace comes from, and
Yeah.
well, our peace comes from the Lord, obviously. But I'm saying as far as how do you get there? You know what I mean? Because He told us we were going to have trouble in this world,
That's exactly
and
right.
but He said, "Rejoice, I've overcome the world." And so it's like, well, how? What's the practicality of that? How do you live that out? And I
Yeah.
think it really comes down to, and this is something that I've heard most of my life, but I'm really starting to embrace it now more than I ever have. And that is, you have to learn how to, and this is a practice, it's a skill set to be developed. So, anybody listening, they need to know it's not a one and done, but you have to really start thinking about what you think about.
Mm.
I think it's Byron Katie has a little 4-step process. She calls it the work. And basically, and it's the same thing as you challenge every thought. If it rises itself above me, then cast it down, right? And so she talks about, okay, so is this thought true?
Yeah.
You know, you're a piece of junk, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're
Yeah.
whatever, you're not enough. Is this
Yeah.
thought true?
Yeah.
And then after you ask, is it true? Who would you be without this thought? you
Mm.
know? And then I think, what is it that makes it? Oh, hell, I have it right here on my computer because I had to remind myself. Yeah. Is it true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? So
Mm.
you really have to stop and just think that whole thing through. And then how do you react to this thought? How does it make you feel? Is it empowering or is it disempowering? Who would you be without this thought? And most of the times you'd be free
Hmm.
because usually it's not a true thought and it's not a true thought.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do anything to empower you. It does everything to disempower you. It doesn't move you forward in your future, whether that future is getting up and going to work or building a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
It's you have to get a handle on your thought life because whatever you think about, you will bring about.
Yeah.
And
What you
so,
put your focus on, and that's a quantum physics thing. Whatever you focus your energy and attention to will grow.
yeah,
Right. And
100%
so if you're
positive or negative. And
that
so it's like,
exactly right. That's exactly
yeah,
right. Yeah.
And most people, they oh well, this all this positive mental energy da da da, is it really just a bunch of hoop? Well, the thought I had, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, "I lay before you life and death. Choose life."
Mhm.
How do you choose life? If you choose life, you're not going to focus on death. You're not
With
going
your
to
thoughts,
focus
words, and
on.
deeds. That's how you choose life, with your thoughts, words, and deeds.
Yep.
Like Dr. Emoto, the work that the Japanese scientists did on just studying water molecules, he would take samples of water and look at them under a microscope, take pictures of them with the crystals and stuff. And some of the water was like murky and yucky. And so the crystals, and they kind of look like snowflakes, you know. And
Mhm.
so they're all
I'm
like
familiar with some
gassy
of
and
his work.
murky and
It's
stuff. So
fascinating.
yeah. And then they would like bless them or speak positive over the same water. And then after a certain amount of time, take that out and look at it again, and the whole water molecule changed. It's
That's
incredibly
just amazing to me.
the
That's
power of our words to be able to
yes.
create life like that. And and what so what we focus our words on, what we focus our thoughts on, what we focus our time and attention to, that's what will grow. And if it's
Hmm.
positive, beautiful, lovely things, the Bible talks about whatever things are lovely and true and kind and of good report, think on these things. I would add to that and speak those things. And so and then do those things,
Hmm.
so those things will grow. And that's part of shifting away. And I use the example all the time: glass half empty, glass half full, glass half empty, glass half full. Focus on the half that's better, the more positive thing. And if your glass is not that full, still focus on that glass, that part that is
You
full.
got water in it.
Because you got what, like at the end of the day, like, are you still breathing?
Right. Right.
Right? What's the worst that could happen? You died. That's the worst, because that is the end of what your earthly plane existence. If you have a breath in your lungs, you have life in your body to go and do something different the next time.
Hmm.
So that's where going back to grace and loving on yourself and forgiving yourself is just so, so important.
Oh, it is. It really is. And I don't think it can be stressed enough. I think it would be a much happier place if, especially women, looked more at what they have to offer at the and we're daughters of the king. I think that's part of what our mission is, honestly, just as being in the health and wellness space that we're in, holistic health, because I think you and I both, yes, we're going to address the physical needs of our patients, but and I mean, not that we're psychiatrists or anything like that, but just to teach these principles. It's just not taught in the world anymore. I remember a quote from Zig Ziglar way back. And one of the things he used to say all the time was, if you can look up, you can get up. That is the God's honest truth right there. If you can look up,
Yeah.
you can get up. You're not
Yeah.
6 feet under. So,
Yeah.
it can be and pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. And that sometimes is really hard to do.
From someone who's lived through some pretty tough times,
Yeah.
there are days that is going to be easier. So this conversation is not meant to be flippant. This is meant to give
Right.
hope, because
Yes,
it
that
can be
100%.
done.
And I
Like,
think
even
the
though life can be, like we were talking beforehand, yeah, before we started the recording, there are some things that are just heinous, like a person gets raped. That's horrible.
right.
When you've just survived that situation, that's a really difficult thing.
Hmm.
There is hope that the next day will be a little bit better and a little bit brighter. There are things that can be done to love yourself, to let go of unforgiveness, and not getting to the place where we say, either denying the thing that happened that was bad happened, because you're never it happened, right? You
Right.
can't pretend like it didn't. Not staying stuck in the heinousness of it, and getting to
Right.
a place where you can at least be neutral, to say, that I'm okay, even though that thing happened. I'm okay,
And I'm
even
still
though,
worthy of love.
yeah,
I'm okay, and I'm worthy.
and I'm worthy of love.
Yeah.
And and I let go of that person that did that thing. It doesn't discredit what they did, but I let go of the offense that I hold towards them, because unfortunately a lot of people that do those kind of bad things,
Mhm.
their consciousness is not in a place that they even feel sorry sometimes, which is
Well, and I think
unfortunate.
it goes back to what you said at the beginning of our conversation. You said, "Lord, give me a heart of compassion towards that person." Now, that's really a tough sell, and this
That's
is
hard.
way far into the future as far as forgiveness and that whole
Took
forgiving
me years to get
process.
over, because I have a personal
Yeah.
story of what I just mentioned. And it took me years to get over it, but I was able to get to that place where I could look with compassion on that person that did.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I don't want to be misunderstood. This is not
Yeah.
something that happens the next day or the next week or the
It's a
next year.
journey, it's a process, like we
Yeah,
talked.
because I can relate. I mean, same thing for me. It wasn't a violent thing, but it was more of a date thing. The point that I'm making is that I think the whole premise of this conversation is the grace from the point A of the violation, the offense, the thing that happened to Z. Well, I just
Yeah.
went kind of opposite, but to get into that place where, okay, I can walk in forgiveness. I
Yeah.
can think about this and not feel
Yeah.
icky and gross. I can forgive that person because what did that person walk through to be to a place that he could do something like that with no
Right.
remorse. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's
And
exactly right.
that's not an easy thing. That so I don't
No,
want to make
minimize.
anybody really angry and think that I'm just looking at this very flippantly. The thing that I'm trying to convey, and I think you are as well, is the process, is how
Yeah.
you to yourself in the process, because
Yeah.
I don't think the process is talked about enough. It's like we're
Right.
at point A or point Z. You got to
Yeah.
forgive,
Yeah.
and but there's no focus whatsoever. It doesn't seem like, at least I
Yeah.
haven't seen it,
Yeah.
on the process and what
Yeah.
it is to be kind to yourself and what it is to still love yourself, to forgive yourself. Because
And
how
if
many
you have a bad
blame
day,
ourselves?
give yourself grace if you want to cry at the drop of a hat all day long.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
okay. Some days
yeah,
it's like that.
like
If
it
you're angry at
100%.
that person all day long, give yourself grace. Don't beat yourself up and go, I shouldn't have felt that way. Don't should on yourself,
Right.
right?
I love
Like,
that.
give yourself grace to go to just recognize that my feelings are valid and real, but I'm going to choose to walk the next day. I'm going to choose to release. It's the process. It's not staying in one place. It's the continuous movement forward
Yep,
to the better place.
yep,
And whether that takes a day, like say the offense is somebody cut you off in traffic and that really ticked you off. That's a teeny tiny offense. And so you get over it in the next hour, to the great big offenses that we just talked about that could take lots and lots and lots of time.
yeah, and
And,
work,
and just keeping your heart open and not shelling it off, opening it up to loving yourself, receiving the
Mhm.
love from healthy relationships, forgiving yourself, being able to let go instead of just staying in that
Well,
spot.
because I think so many, especially women that, well, and I would say probably men too, if they've ever been through any kind of molestation or any kind of sexual assault or anything at all like that. I mean, so many times they blame themselves. I
Yeah.
shouldn't have been here. I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't
Right.
have
If I
done
just did
this.
this, if I just
Yeah,
did that, or if I
yeah.
didn't do that, or if I didn't say that, or whatever,
And
if I didn't
it's
wear that
the other
thing, or if I
person
didn't,
is who violated them.
yeah,
You know? And so I think, I hope the takeaway that your audience can get from our conversation is that there really is a true process to this, and it does take time, no matter if, even with the person who cuts you off in traffic. I mean, sometimes that's easier to get over than others, depending on how crazy it gets, you know.
right? Yeah.
People where I live are a little nuts. They get a little, I'm like,
I haven't driven in Atlanta in a long time, but I've ridden in an Uber recently a couple
oh,
times.
goodness gracious. I mean, I could tell some stories. I'm like, I want to say to them, you need to do a little tapping. Like,
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
it's so funny because once upon a time, I can remember I used to get really annoyed in traffic. I'd be just like, "Arr!" I'd just be kind of grumbling the whole way through until I got to my destination. But praise the Lord, I'm now, I haven't fully arrived. I'm not saying nobody will ever make me mad, but I have caught myself now driving, and somebody would be like in this crazy amount of a hurry, and he'd pass me at like 100 miles an hour or whatever, and he's weaving in and out of traffic, and you can tell he's just like, you see him at a stoplight, he's like literally one car in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
and and it's just like, I feel sorry for him. I'm like,
I do.
breathe.
I used to like when I see somebody that upset, I'm like, I stop. I used to, because I used to get upset. Now I stop and I go, wow, Lord, whatever they've gone through, whatever's caused them to be in such a way that they're that angry, please help them.
Help them.
You
Yeah,
know, just send love to them. The other
yeah,
thing, what you said was funny. I used to tell my kids all the time, like when you have kids and like one person steals the other person's, one kid steals the other kid's toy, and then that kid that smacks the other one, and then they come crying to you, and she took my toy, well, she smacked me on the face, and she made me feel this way, and I used to tell my kids, they used to hate this, but I used to say, you are in control of how you feel. You
Yep.
may not like the fact that she took your toy, but you didn't have to smack her. And you may not like the fact that she smacked you, but you don't have, you are responsible for how you feel and how you respond. She can't make you do something, be something, say something. Nobody can make you. You have a choice what comes out of your mouth and what actions you decide to take. And I think that that is probably a lesson that not even some adults know, that
Oh, I
haven't
100%.
learned, like, because they're still, again, unforgiveness, holding that other person captive for what they've
Mhm.
done,
Yeah.
taking, drinking that poison, thinking that the other person's going to die, when really it's
Hmm.
just affecting themselves. It's just letting go, taking responsibility for yourself and saying, okay, yes, that thing happened. That person offended me, or that person's thing was not nice. I don't have to take offense. I can let go of the offense. I can let go of the unforgiveness. I can let go of the bitterness. I can let go of the anger. I can send love.
Right.
I tell people all the time what I post a lot about my gratitude, because this is just like, it's been so incredibly amazing in the last, like, I would say 6 months or so. The gratitude process that I go through in the morning has just really, like, it just lit my heart on fire to be able to share this message, because it's not hard. And I have this journal where I do 5 things I'm grateful for that happen, that have already happened. They're real in my reality right now. I'm thankful for my dog. I'm thankful for my grandkids. I'm thankful for my husband. And then I send love to somebody, whoever comes to my heart. Who needs love today, Lord? Like, I just ask myself, and a lot of times it's me. I send love to myself. I
I
send
love that.
love because I'm so grateful that you just keep trying and you keep doing and whatever. And then I write down my intention for the day, kind of my goals, what I want to get accomplished, and what are my long-term goals, and what are my daily things. And then I write positive affirmation statements. I'm kind, I'm courageous, I am worthy, I am open to receive, whatever. And
Hmm.
then I write 5 things that I'm grateful for, that I'm holding on to in faith. I don't see them with my physical eyes. I know they're done here. I'm just bringing them down here. And so I just think I'm thankful for the people that are going to be touched by this podcast that I haven't even made yet, that kind of thing,
Yep.
or whatever.
Hmm.
And that daily practice, it takes what, 15 minutes? It has just helped me to let go of a lot of the anxiety that I still carried in certain. I don't get anxious about a lot, but there are certain things when you're a small business owner,
Yeah.
it's a real
100%.
deal. When things don't happen and you think they should, it's a real deal. And
Hmm.
so not being too hard on myself. What did I do wrong? Or I don't want to should on myself. I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't do that. Having that gratitude process every day has just helped me to stay in a thankfulness
Hmm.
and in a love towards myself, and just it's helped my relationship with my husband even. And it's just been a wonderful thing that it has helped. And then physically, what I know it does to my body, every cell in my body, I'm speaking life into, just like
Hmm.
Dr. Emoto with the water.
Yeah.
90% of my body is water, right? So when we speak words of life over ourselves and over our cells come alive. When we start to,
Hmm.
our body starts to heal and the pain starts to go away and the fatigue and all the things that we might struggle with start to dissipate just by doing that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna steal a few of your little things because I have a gratitude journal that I keep also. And for me, it was 3 things that I would write down. But as far as like the ones in faith, I usually would do that as like affirmations or what have you. But I think I'm gonna start writing those things down as well, just to
Sort of the
because
things you
one,
hold on to in faith. Like
yeah, yeah,
faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of
exactly.
things not seen. We
Hmm.
we are trusting for them, and we offer those things in prayer. We say, okay, Lord, these are the things I'm believing. I know, and then just affirming, yes, they're coming. They're
Yeah,
here.
they're
In
coming.
your realm, in
Absolutely.
the earth, like God is not limited by time or space. In his world, it's already done. So if we're
Hmm.
bringing the kingdom of heaven to earth, it's already done.
It's already done. That's right, 100%. And it's already happened in the spirit realm. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of us bringing it to fruition.
Yeah.
I love that. It's funny. I remember, and I just full transparency, when I was younger. And especially like when I was going through the height of my autoimmune, and when I was sleeping 15 hours a day, and I was just a young single mom trying to just get through the day. That was my goal for the day, was just let's see if we can get through the day without,
Yeah.
whatever. And I was trying to homeschool my kids. And so I would I'd get them to a place where they could work on their own for about an hour. And then I would sleep for another hour or two until I could get through the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But my mindset was not very kind during that time. I mean, I was probably a level of depressed, I'm sure. I don't know, but
Mhm.
it was just it's all like a fog now looking back on it.
Yeah.
But praise the Lord, I have since grown and changed up many things, especially with my mindset. Because, like I said, but finally registered in my heart. It's one thing to have it in your head, but it's a totally different thing to have it in your heart. What you think about, you bring about, kind of thing. I can honestly say that just sitting down every day and just writing down what I'm grateful for,
Mhm.
and affirming where I'm headed, affirming and being thankful that the Lord has put me in the place that He's put me in. And like, I may not know 100% of where He's taking me, but I trust Him, and I know
Yeah.
it's going to be something good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
it's really, well, I kind of digressed. Let me come back to that. So I was really tired. I was exhausted all the time. And to the point that it was really hard to even get up out of bed. You dealt with autoimmune, and I've never been a morning person anyway. So that's always been, so then you throw that monkey wrench into it. But I have always, 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 always been one to work out. Always. I've never been not one to work out, right? And so I had started really trying to get my mind and my focus on the good things and the healing, and your energy is coming back, your energy is returning, you're doing the things or whatever. And I'm not going to say that I don't always hit it. There's sometimes I may work out in the afternoon or when I take breaks or whatever, but it's a difference in when I wake up in the morning. I may not necessarily fling the covers off the bed and jump up and start screaming at the top of my lungs. May not be that person, but I am more likely to get up out of bed at 6 in the morning and do what I'm supposed to do and have my morning routine,
Yeah.
uh, which wasn't there for a while. It was zapped from me. Wanted to do with sleep,
For
but I
sure.
think I know a lot of that had to do with what I was doing physically and stuff. But there was a period of time where I couldn't work out. Like, I was just too exhausted to work
Oh
out. I
yeah.
didn't
No,
want to
there
work
was
out. I didn't.
definitely
Yeah, I
some.
was just, and so, but I think the restoration happened, and this goes back to the process, but I think it started really happening when I started really gaining control of my thought life, and what what was I thinking about, and started really thinking about,
Yep.
and really kind of honing in on that.
Yep.
I don't know, I just can't stress it enough, but that's an example of
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
The things that when I went through my lowest point, the thing that got me, I actually was just talking to somebody about this morning. The thing that got me through that was at one point I realized nobody did this to me.
Mm,
I cannot sit here and be a victim.
yeah.
Did things happen in my life? Of course. But was it that thing that made me choose to give up hope? No.
Mm,
And when I decided to have hope and then change the way I was looking at my circumstances and then start looking at what I needed to heal in my heart and in my thoughts. And I'm not saying it was like easy because I had to look at it in the mirror a bunch and
mm,
forgive myself and then start forgiving other people like we talked about already. But it was really when I decided, look, nobody's keeping me in this place where I'm not going to get better. I am choosing to stay here because I'm choosing to not let go of a certain things. Because were there physical things wrong? Absolutely. There was
mm,
tons of stuff. Like doctors had told me they couldn't find anything wrong. I finally found a doctor who found some things because he did more testing than anybody ever did. And I started receiving like IV therapy, and I actually I was eating really what I thought was really clean, but there were certain foods that were affecting me, and I gave up when I started giving up those things. That started changing. So there were physical things 100%, but it was the things in my heart and in my mind that were really keeping me from even wanting to look at the things. Like I just, that it was what was in my heart that was keeping me, will this happen to me?
Yeah.
Instead of, I have a choice. What am I going to do with my choice today
Right.
to address the things that need to in my heart and in my mind and in my emotions and things like that? And so it was in that moment that I realized this is not how I want to spend the rest of my life. I don't want to live the rest of my life in bed. I don't want to live the rest of my life hopeless and in despair.
Oh yeah.
I want to have hope, and
Hmm.
I need to figure out what that looks like. And it was just in that little kind of getting to where like this cannot be as good as it gets. There has to be more, that gave me the ability to have a little glimmer of hope to say, okay, if there's more, what does that look like? You
Hmm.
know, and that's really where I feel like hopefully everybody listening can hear and take just, grab onto hope. Because again, there are things that happen in our to us and that happen in the world that are just not nice. They're just not fair, and they're just not kind and gentle and loving and good and all the things that we would hope it to be.
Hmm.
But it's how we process through that, and the choices that we make, and the thoughts that we feel and the things that we hold on to in our heart. That's where we can take all the things that are going on in the external world and decide how we're going to let it affect the internal world in our
Hmm.
lives.
When I was in school studying to be official and get my certification, there was a unit we studied and they called it creative hopelessness. And that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you're describing is basically where you when you just hit full on rock bottom. And there's an old song out that says when you hit rock bottom, there's two ways to go, straight up or sideways. And that's you're describing creative hopelessness. It's like when we get to that place where we're like, you know what? I do have a choice. I
Mm-hmm.
can get up or not. It really, it's that simple, but it's not that easy. It
Yeah.
is a decision though.
I say that all the time. It's
Yeah.
simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's like
But it
going
is
on an
it's a decision.
elimination diet. It's a simple thing.
Yep.
Here's the rules to follow. Here's the things you can eat. Here's the things you can't, but it's not easy.
But it's not easy. That's right.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a level of getting one's mind wrapped around change
Hmm.
because whether it be you're going to start dealing with your emotions more or you're going to start a new diet and exercise regimen, or you're going to work with someone like us, a health coach, to help you kind of get through those things or start loving yourself, whatever it is, change is slow and it's a process.
Hmm.
And if people can really grab a hold of that,
Hmm.
and I would say one thing about it is to pick one thing, just one thing that
Hmm.
you can do and do it for the next 2 weeks.
That's right.
If it's set your alarm 15 minutes earlier so you can get up, or go to
Yep.
bed 15 minutes earlier, or
Yep.
do jumping jacks for a minute and then go do something, whatever it is that you want to change, do it. Just
One thing to be grateful for.
yeah.
There has to be
Yes,
one thing. If all your thoughts are swirling with negativity, what's one positive thing you can have? And
absolutely.
start there with that one thing. Because
Mhm.
sometimes that's when you're in the pit of despair, everything looks hopeless. It's really
Mhm.
hard to find something to be hopeful about and to be
Yes,
grateful for.
you're right.
And I have been there, you have been there. So it's not like this is not a flippant conversation. This is
Mm-mm.
definitely meant to be hopeful. And I would say find one thing and look around at your relationships. Is there a person that you can, you know, that you trust and love and knows trusts and loves you unconditionally, that you can be accountable with to help walk you through this? And if there's not, find a support group. Find
Yeah.
somebody that can help hold your hand and walk you out. And if that's calling somebody like you or me and, establishing a relationship that way, that's amazing. If it's looking up for a group on an online community, which is easier than ever. My best friend I met on an online community when I was in the depths of, we were both in a horrible place physically, and she lives in New Zealand.
Mm.
We met 18 years ago, and we've been to each other's houses. So sometimes it's an online thing, sometimes it's a local thing. Find somebody to walk through it. Don't feel like you're alone, because that's just a lie. You're not alone.
No,
You know, if there's
definitely not.
anything that you can take away from this, it's knowing that I've been there, you've been there. There's two other people in this world that have been through
That have survived.
that have survived and
And
that are doing
thrived and
better.
are
Right.
thriving. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not just about surviving, but thriving. And it's there. It's there for all of us. But it is a process. And I think if we can just recognize that process and be kind to ourselves through that process. Because one other thing I want to mention is I've heard all my life, enjoy the journey. When I was in my when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, adult, and then now I'm older adult, whatever. It's enjoy the journey. But no one tells you how to
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the journey. And I think some of the things we have laid out today are definitely steps in learning how to enjoy that journey.
Yeah.
Because when you start focusing and you start writing down every single day, you take 5 minutes to write down 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for, three
Mm-hmm.
to five things that happened in the last 24 hours that you're grateful for. I mean, it could be as simple. I mean, like for me yesterday, a huge win was I got my programs page updated. Yay! You know,
Yay.
that was huge for me because I'm not the technical person. So that was a big deal. Now, for all those web developers, they'd be like, I do that every day. I mean, so it doesn't matter how big or small is my point. It
Yeah.
just what is something I woke up today.
Yeah.
I slept
I
well
actually got
last
out of
night.
my pajamas today. You know,
Yeah,
like there
yes,
were days when that was like the big throw. I put
yeah.
clothes on
I
and
got
I
up and took a
brushed my
shower.
teeth. You know, I got a shower. Hey,
Yeah, and
you
if
know,
you have
and
like if you're a young mom, especially if you're staying home
oh
or
my gosh,
working,
tell me about
holy
it.
cow, it's like I took a bath today and not one child came in and interrupted my shower.
Amen to that. I mean, seriously, I've got five kids
Yeah,
and for
yeah.
a long time I was a single mom with all of them and I had four kids under in like 6 years, and so it's like it's a thing to
It
be able
is
to
a
go to the
thing.
bathroom and take a shower by yourself. Woohoo! Yeah,
I have three, so you got two more on me. So, but they say after the third one, then they just all kind of go into a big group.
they do start to help each other, which is nice.
Yeah.
After my
But
third
yeah,
one, it was
so
harder, but yeah,
but I think if we can start celebrating those wins and just really, like I said, find the one thing. If you can't find three, find one because it will grow. That's
yeah,
one thing I have learned about having a positive mindset and a growth mindset is it's exactly what it says it is. It grows. You
yeah.
start off with one thing, it will grow to two or
It's like
three.
watering a seed.
It
Like
is absolutely
a
like
seed, when
watering
you give
seed.
it the right soil, the right water, and the right sunlight, it'll grow and
Yeah.
it'll produce. But it's not
Mhm.
going to do it if you starve it. So you got to feed it. Feed it what.
I'll just give you this analogy that I thought of years ago. I'm sure it was from the Holy Spirit, but I was thinking about just the earth and creation as a whole. And I was like, everything God does, everything he does is progressive in nature.
Mhm.
Like you take a seed and in 200 years, it turns into a mighty oak tree. You take a human sperm and your egg, fertilize the two, and then all these little groups of cells get together and then poof, 9 months later, you have a human, right? Same thing in the animal kingdom, and same thing with the plant. Can you plant the seed, they grow. You give it the waters, and then some. Even sometimes, whenever you only give it a little bit of waters, it still grows. It's crazy,
Mhm.
but everything he does is progressive. And from the beginning of time to now, everything has progressed forward, right?
Mhm.
And so, considering he told us a long, long time ago to choose life,
Mhm.
we may be asked, well, what does that look like? But I think putting it out there where you get that one thing that you're grateful for, or you're starting to be kinder to yourself, or you're starting to say, nope, that's a lie from the pit of hell.
Mhm.
I am worthy of love. And if nobody else loves me on this planet, I know Jesus loves me because he died for me.
Mhm.
You know, he went to a cross and he paid for the sin that I couldn't do. And if it's because of him, if nobody else loves me in the whole planet, I can't come up with one person, he
Mhm.
loves me. Even the
Yeah.
ones who don't believe, he
Yeah.
still loves them too.
Yeah.
And you know, if we can just learn that grab a hold of that concept that everything is progressive if we put it in the right form because the negativity is also progressive.
Right.
You
That's
start you
how we
feed
got to where we were. That's what we gave
right.
attention to. So that's how it grew to be where it is.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like how's it working for you, you
Yeah,
know?
for
And
sure. Well, my friend, it has been so amazing talking to you. I just love our conversations. We sat when we were in Nashville, we sat in the car. She to drop me off, and
She
it
didn't
was
feel
like
good.
supposed
That
to
was
be a
the thing.
15
She was
minute
going
drive, and
inside.
we were like there 2 hours later, still sitting in the car.
I really felt bad after that because I was like, she was not feeling well. That was the whole reason I
That's
took her
okay.
home.
It was good. It was all good. It was amazing conversation. That was a really good time
Yeah, we
together.
had great conversation for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed this. I really have.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And we never even got to. I always prepare questions that we're going to talk to. We didn't even get to one of them.
We'll do that on the next one.
We'll just do that the next time. We'll save them for
Yeah,
later. Part two.
that works. That works
So,
definitely. I think you
uh,
went in a good direction though, because these are
I
some things that I think we all need to hear about, you know.
I think this is a great, especially for this season that we're in right now.
Yes,
So
100%.
yeah.
100%.
So thank you so so much. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for inviting me on. It was definitely an honor and a privilege to be here for sure.
You are very welcome. So, if you want to learn more about Stephanie, she has revived and restored health.com.
Mhm.
And of course, foundationsandwellness.com. You can reach either one of us that way. And we are happy to help you in whatever. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and look for us on all social media. We're both on social media.
Yes, 100%.
Have a
All
great
right.
day.